OpenAI just dropped their new product, an AI agent builder. The setup is super easy, but can it really replace your existing automations? Today I show you what it does well, where it fails, and how it stacks up against other no-code tools like N8N. By the end of the video, you create a working agent and know the right tool for each job. First, we will be creating a travel AI agent that can give us flight infos and itinerary. Open up the following URL to open up the agent builder. The link is also available in the description box below. Then click here, Create. This opens up the canvas similar to other tools like N8N. Every workflow starts with the start node. It's basically a chat input, and optionally you can add state variable. But for now the default options are fine. Next we have our agent here. We can give this agent a name and instructions how he should handle this request from the user. We also can here select the chat model that we like. The reasoning effort, we can add here tools like for example web search or file search or any MCP server, and the output format, what can be text, JSON or widget. This one I will explain in a minute. Let's leave for now everything like it is here and click here preview. Now this chat window opens and we see here our workflow. You can ask him anything like, how is the weather today? And like you can see, it would answer now like ChatGPT would. But for that use case, we don't need an AI agent. So let's adjust our workflow. Let's create for flight infos and itinerary a separate agent. For that, we need to adjust this agent to a classifier. Let's rename it to classifier and replace the instructions with, you are a helpful travel assistant for classifying the user message, whatever this is itinerary or a flight. These settings we can leave as they are, and under output format we select JSON and then we click add schema. Here we want to add one property called classification, and as type we select enum and give the two values flight info and itinerary and click update. Next we add an if block by selecting here if. Now we can fill out here in condition. For example, we select classification and say if it's equal to flight info. In that case, we want our AI flight agent to be active with the instructions, you are a travel assistant, always recommend a specific flight to go. Use airport codes. Otherwise, our itinerary agent should be active. Let's give it a name, itinerary agent. And the instructions, you are a travel assistant, so build a concise itinerary. Let's click preview and try it out. What should I do in Berlin? Now first the classifier classifies the message and it decided it's an itinerary agent request. Now the itinerary agent creates the answer for us. And here we go, we got the plan from our AI agent. The first thing you might notice when you're using it, you cannot double click on this node to see more information, what is coming in or out. Like in N8N, for example, where I can double click on any node and see all inputs and outputs. But for now, let's go back to the workflow and double click on the flight agent. Let's select as the output a widget. Then select here the plus icon and select create widget. Create a widget for fly information. Include the information from, to, departure and arrival, and also the flight code, and send it off. Now the widget builder is creating the widget for us. Once it's finished, we see here a preview of this widget and we can adjust here the code and we see here the inputs. But what we care about is that we can download it. Then we go back to our agent and select here upload and upload this new widget. Now we see here a little preview. For now we can close it here. And now let's try it out by clicking here preview. Give me a flight from Berlin to New York and send this off. And like you can see, it filled out all the information in our widget and gives us a much nicer visual output than just here the JSON, for example. And that's it. Now you created your first AI agent with the OpenAI new agent builder. But that's not all. Let's close the preview here. Double click on this agent and click under Tools, Web Search. By simply clicking here Add, now you added the web search function to our AI agent. This is the simplest way I ever saw anywhere. Usually you need to use a third-party service to search the web correctly. Also, what you might notice, we didn't need any API keys and we had access directly to all ChatGPT models. This makes this AI agent builder so easy to set up and use. And once you're finished and you're satisfied with the results, you can click here Publish, give this workflow a name, and click Publish here. And that's it. Now your workflow is live and you can use it. But here's the problem. To use it, you need to use the agent SDK. For that, you need code or the chat kit. Unfortunately, also for the chat kit, you need some code or a server to set this up. Different than an NLN, for example, where you simply can activate the workflow and then where you can copy the URL and open it separately and send to anybody you like. But here you don't have the options for the widgets that just came out. In the widget builder, you also have a gallery where you have a bunch of templates that you can directly use in your AI agent. For example, like this widget. When you click on it, you can open it in the widget editor and simply download it or adjust it to your needs. This widget could be nice for an e-commerce store. Alright, after this short demo, let's compare the OpenAI Agent Builder against N8N, the most popular AI automation tool out there. First of all, the OpenAI Agent Builder is super easy to set up. There's no API keys required. Like you might notice, when you drag and drop the agent here, you directly have access to all models from OpenAI. This is a big plus. Another nice thing is to have the ability to add web search easily by just clicking here. Usually you need a third-party service. The next big plus point is it's super easy to set up a RAG. Let me show you what I mean. Let's say we want to give our itinerary agent information about Berlin. Usually we need to set up a RAG agent and we need to use third-party services like Pinecone also. In OpenAI, you can directly click here the plus icon under tools and select file search. And here you can directly upload your PDF files. For example, this Berlin tour guide that you can simply upload it here. You don't need to worry how to chunk, how to slice this PDF. You simply drag and drop it here and OpenAI takes care of the rest. And you simply click attach. Now your agent has direct access. Then you can give this PDF a name like Berlin Tourist Guide. And then your agent already has access to it. It's never been easier to set up a RAG agent. The next amazing things are the built-in guardrails. Let me show you what I mean. Here in our canvas, we can select guardrails as one of the options and connect it to the chat input, for example. The guardrails can run moderation, check for personal information, check against jailbreak, and check against hallucination even. Let me show you what I mean. You can, for example, activate this one here and click the settings icon. Here you can select what the user should not be able to input. For example, let's not allow the user to pass their email address. So when we select the email address and click here save and click here preview, and then we type in something like, hey, can you send me an email to hello@world.com and send this off. Now the guardrails checked if this input has an email and detected one, so it failed. Another really useful thing is the hallucination part here. It checks for potential hallucination by validating the string input against your knowledge database. So when you activate this one here, you select which knowledge database you want to use and which model should check if the answer contains hallucinations. Really useful. You could technically achieve the same by adding here another AI agent, an NLN, but then you need also to provide information how the AI agent should check for hallucinations or for a jailbreak, for example. For example, here you don't need to provide any instructions how to check for a jailbreak. It's good and bad at the same time. Good because you don't need to set it up. Bad because you don't know how a jailbreak is detected or not. Alright, last but not least are the chat widget function that I showcased you already with the flight information. In the widget builder, you also have a gallery where different widgets are already created for you that you can use directly. This makes your agent look super sleek. Alright, we know now the benefits, but what is the downside? First of all, it has only a chat trigger. That means this whole automation can only be activated by chat. So that means it cannot be triggered by anything else. For example, when a new email arrives or when a new order arrives. On N8N on the other side, we have multiple triggers that can trigger your automation. It could be manually, it could be on schedule, like every hour, every day. It could be a webhook. It could be a form submission. It could also be a chat input like in our OpenAI agent builder or any app event that you can find here in NLN. And like you can see, there are a lot of triggers that could be activated. And all that you don't have in the OpenAI agent builder. So it's definitely not an N8N killer or Zapier or even Make. And by the way, these are the invoices that I paid to Zapier. And everybody knows I'm a heavy N8N user. So why do I still pay? This is because I have many legacy automations that I'm still running. And like the own saying says, never change the running system. Next, the OpenAI builder is not open source, so you don't have any self-hosting options. Especially when your client or your requirements are privacy sensitive, then you cannot use the OpenAI agent builder probably. Next thing is, it's harder to debug. In the OpenAI agent builder, you can click here evaluate and see all your previous runs. And here you can see what inputs and outputs were there. But it's much, much harder than an N8N. In N8N, you easily see which nodes were activated and what happened in each node by double-clicking on them. You see the input and you see also the output. This way it's much easier to debug anything. Plus, in N8N, you can always pin certain nodes and continue to testing your workflow. Without these capabilities, you can imagine how hard it will be to set up more advanced AI agents. The next downside is there are no other AI models available than the one from OpenAI. So if you want to provide for your AI agent a different model than this one's here, for example from Anthropic, you're not able to do that. And last but not least, there's no HTTP node. In the new OpenAI agent builder, you can only add MCPs. And since many APIs like the Kai API that I use often for different video generation APIs or AI image generation, they don't have MCPs and therefore you cannot use them here. You could make a workaround by creating an MCP server in N8N and provide it here, but this adds unnecessary overhead. And if you're serious about learning AI and AI automation, I highly recommend you to join my community where we take you from an absolute beginner to a pro. Here we show you different use cases like an AI voice agent, or how to create an UGC machine that creates UGC content on autopilot, or clipping automations that makes any long form video into shorts, and many more. I hope you liked this video and see you in the next one.